G'day folks, what we have here is the parts out of a Lima Express parcels van, and the issue here is that there's some little gears that go underneath these gears here, and one of those had broken. So my friend in Canberra, Chris, offered to 3D print replacement gear for me. So a black one is the original and these grey ones are the 3D printed versions. Now they're very small. If I can show you my finger next to them, they're very small, and so therefore we have no idea whether this is going to work. So at this stage all we can do is put it back together and give it a trial and see how it goes. So the first thing we do is take off these gears here. I'll just put these brass retaining screws back in to keep everything together while I had it in the box waiting for the gear replacements to turn up. So we'll just take those off, and it looks like we need to do a bit of cleaning here as well, so we'll just get these off, and then we'll do the cleaning. Might as well do it properly before we put it back together, and just keep all our little parts here. I'm working on an old bath towel, folks, which stops all the parts jumping around and getting lost, and on this colour it's easy to see them as well. So yeah, alright, now we're going to do a bit of cleaning here. I'm just going to use some WD-40 contact cleaner here to get some of this junk off. And this junk is actually around the little shaft that the gear sits on, and with the gear being so small, it's possible that it might sit high on its little shaft, so we don't want that to happen. We want it to sit down flat where it's supposed to sit. You can see there's a fair bit of junk coming off there, and we'll do this one as well. Get in around there. I might actually get a soft brush, I think, to do some more of that. Right, this might be a bit better, I think. Yeah, that's better. You can actually get down and around the area there much better and get it nice and clean. This is lubricant, I suppose, from years ago, some sort of grease or whatever that was used to lubricate the gears. So I think that'll do for the cleaning. Okay, now we need to try one of the replacements and just see if it fits over the shaft, which it does, yes. So if we put that over the top, that's where it's supposed to go, and don't know whether you can see that, but yeah, that's working. So if that works in that position, it should work when we put the wheel on. There's a gear on the wheel as well, which has to mesh in with this little sucker here. So what we'll do as well is I'll get on and clean these wheels and gears, any contacts, etc., electrical contacts that I can see that need cleaning. We'll clean it all up, and then we'll come back and we'll put the wheels in, the gears and the wheels, and start putting it together. So I'll do the cleaning first. You don't need to see all that, so we'll get on with that now. I've just taken the pickup bogie apart, the bogie at the opposite end to the motor, and you can see the black lines here, which is dirt that's built up in there, and so I'll clean that out and clean the axles and the wheels as well for that before we start moving further forward. Now we're just going to check these wheels out of the power bogie to make sure I've got them round the right way. There's one insulated set, one insulated side and one dead side. So if we touch the wheel and the axle, I've got a little beeper on here that tells me whether it's live or not. We'll do the same on this side. Okay, so that's the live side on that one. That's the live side on that one. So that goes that way. Okay, so we'll check that again. Dead. Live. Live. Dead. Okay, so that's the right way round. Now we've got to put this trailing bogie or the pickup bogie back together, and at the moment it's upside down, so the pickup wheels will go on this side, because once you flip it over they will then be on this side, which is the same side as the gears on the motor, and the motor picks up from the other side. So we're all set up to put it back in properly, I hope. So we've got to place the little strip in there, and this is the tricky part because you need probably 3 hands to do this, but put the stem in that the wire connects to when it's clipped on the top there. That takes a feed to the motor. And we sit an axle on there, and we sit an axle on there. Now what we have to do is put a retaining clip over that, which is a plastic retainer, and we need to put in one end first and then just bring that down over there and clip it in. Something doesn't feel quite right just yet. That's better. Right. That's in. Everything moving and clean. So there we are. Now we can turn our attention back to the motor bogie. So the first thing we have to do is put a gear on, the little gear, the replacement gear. I'll put an original on this end. So that's the original gear, the black one. Now we'll get one of the replacements. Fortunately Chris printed me 6 of these, so we'll see how they go. And 6 in case there's any problems with them, you know, if they break or something, or they don't fit and you need to modify them, or maybe stuff one up or whatever. So now we'll put the retaining gear on there. And that is turning, and we'll put one on there. Now you can probably see, if I turn that one, that the little grey one is moving, which is good. That's all good. So far so good. Now we have to get these little brass retaining screws back in. Fiddly little suckers, these ones. So we just put that in there like so. That's good. And just tighten that up. Well, it doesn't have to be tight, it's just retained. So that's in. Just check it again. Yep. Now we'll get the other one. Just put that on. This one's a bit tricky. This is why we work on the towel, because if I drop this, it won't go anywhere. I think I'll have to get a pair of tweezers to do this one for some reason. Okay, let's try that again. We'll just fit that into the thread there. This is almost as good as watching paint dry, isn't it? So here we go, we're in. So we just tighten that up. Just a little bit of pressure on there to make sure that it's firm. Now, what we probably should do first is just check this motor and make sure it's spinning that okay. So I'll get myself a power source, which will be a 9-volt battery. Okay, so if I apply some power to the brushes on the other side here, we've got movement. Okay, so far so good. Now these wheels are on a spline on the axle. There's a spline on the end of the axle here, and the wheel simply just pushes on. So we'll fit a wheel on, but we've got to make sure that when we do, we push down the contact before the axle goes over the top. So we'll just push that in there. That's in. Now we fit on the wheel that has a gear on the back, and that hopefully will mesh in with the new little gear there. Now, as I said, this is a push fit. I think I might have to just take it off again just to have a look at it here. I think I've caught the top gear, that's the problem. I'll have to take this top gear off because the flange on the wheel's catching on it. So yeah, okay. I'll just get that wheel off again and then we'll start again. Right, okay. Didn't think of that one, Gourmet. Yeah, well, we'll just take that gear off. Which means I've got to put these little screws back in again. Oh well, I've had some practice, haven't I? So, yeah, I'm just wondering if that makes sense. That's on there, and then that's got to go on. Tricky. It came off, so therefore it's got to go on. Yep, I think that'll work. Okay, so we'll just push that on. Make sure it's in the little, see it's turning the little gear there, but I think I've got the wheel too tight now. Just have to loosen that off and check the back to back actually. Okay, so I'll go and get my gauge. Okay, I can't get my gauge down over the axle in this case, but I'll just have to, I can see that I've got a bit of movement there, so I'll just squeeze it in a bit. Now that's tight on the gauge, but it might be too tight on the gear, I'm not sure yet. Well, it feels okay. Now the gear's actually rubbing on the back of the wheel just a bit too much, so I'll just ease that out just a tad. Check the back to back again. Yeah, there's a little bit of movement there, but that's all right, I think. Proof will be in the running. Okay, so now we'll get the other wheel in. So, yep, we'll have to take this other gear off to get that wheel in. Okay, separate the wheel from the axle. And now slide the axle through. Push down the contact. Just making sure the contact strip was moving freely there. You don't want to catch it, can have it catching on the body. That one's fine. Yep, that's okay. Now the little gear popped off, the original. So we'll slip that back on. It's on its axle there. Actually, there's not much left of that axle, but it's on. And now we'll push this wheel on. Give it a squeeze. Check the back to back. Oh, there's tons of room there. We need to get a bit more wheel on the axle. Still too loose. Still too loose. It's probably too tight now. Yep. Okay, we'll just have to ease that out again. Bit more. It's free movement there, which is good. Back to back is spot on. Just a little bit more. That's better. Okay. So we've got free movement of the gears there. Now we just need to get these other gears back on. Yeah, I was doing it the wrong way before. Okay. Now we need to get these little screws in. It's probably best to pick them up by the head, I think. Put that in there. That's good, that's one. And the other one. Okay. Well, to all intents and purposes, it's in. Okay, now we'll try running it again with the battery. Just on the contacts here at the back. Well, it's running. I'll try and reverse it. I'm just looking at the gear compared to the original, and it looks like it's probably rubbing just a bit on the back of the wheel. So maybe that wheel just needs to be eased out just a tad. Check the back to back again. There's plenty of room there. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to know. It seems to be moving freely. This is a 9-volt battery. And the gear, I think, is sort of moving around on its shaft fairly freely. But yeah, I think we'll stay with that, and probably the best thing to do is put it back together and test it on some track. I might give it just a tiny little bit of lubrication here while we're on the job, so I'll use some inox for that, and I'll just have to put some in a little container, and we'll do that. I'll be back in a moment. Right, I'll just use a bit of wire as a dropper. Just put a little bit on the motor shaft there, a little bit on some of the gears here and there. And that should work its way around to the new gear as well. Right, well, we'll try it at that. Just give it a bit of a touch with the... Yep. Okay. So now we'll have to put the put it back in the chassis, I think, and we'll give it a test run on the track. Okay folks, it's time to put it on the railway and see how it goes. Okay folks, here we go. Just give it a little... Sounds alright. So I might do, I might give it some a bit of a run around here. So we'll just make sure that that wire is not going to catch on anything, and I'll start it up, and then you can watch it going around. So hopefully it'll do circuits of the railway here. Seems to be alright. Actually, being in a new gear, it probably needs to get run in a bit, I would think. Let's go back and have a look around the other side again. You can hear it coming. At least it's going, that's the main thing. See, when it was just driving before on one of those little gears, it would move on the flat, but as soon as you put it up an incline, it didn't have the traction to get up the hill, so I couldn't send it up to the branch line. So I might just let that run for about 10 minutes, just to sort of settle in, and then I'll run it in the other direction, and here it comes. I'll run it in the other direction for 5 minutes or so, and then we'll put the body on and try sending it up to the branch line. So far so good. Well, I've just reversed it. I've now got it motor first instead of pickup truck first, so we'll see how it goes in this direction. I'll give it a run for a few minutes. Seems alright actually. Catch it coming out the other end. eventually. Here it comes. Seems to run at a reasonable pace when it's on slow speed there, which is good. Okay folks, this little parcels fan has been running for quite a while now, and I can tell if there's any sort of resistance in the mechanisms in any of my locos, because the controller will warm up, and this one's just room temperature, so it's not warming up at all, in other words. So that means that everything's moving freely, which is a good sign. So the motor's not struggling. Okay folks, we've had it running now for about 15 minutes and just doing a little inspection. The gear's still intact there, everything looks okay. I won't take it apart and check it, because if it ain't broke we won't fix it. So we'll leave it at that for the moment, and I'll get the body back on, and then the ultimate test is running it up to the branch, up an incline, because on one gear, with one gear missing, as I said, it didn't have the traction to do it. So we'll see how it goes. So we'll come back and we'll, after we've put it together, and we'll test it. Alright, we've got the body on, so we'll just give it another lap and see how it goes. It sounds just like it used to sound before. They've always been a bit noisy, these rail cars, so it's not too bad actually. Now we'll just let's see how slow it can go. Yeah, that's okay. Alright, well, we'll send it around for a bit and then send it up to the branch. I'll get the branch set up. Right, away we go. We'll try it up the incline. This is 1 in 70 up here, so it used to slip on here before. You could literally hear it slipping because it couldn't get the traction. And we've got the motor at the back here to get traction. But as long as all wheels are driving, it'll be fine. So it seems to be fine at the moment. This is 1 in 90. Away we go through the little barred field. And here we are at little barred field. Still going strong, and it's going out into the back shed, and it'll get picked up by the Bamford controller out there, as long as it's going in the right direction. So we're making our way up 1 in 70 again out in the back here. Coming up to Little Shelford, and almost into the room. There we go. All good. I might just send it back I'll just reset the controllers here, and we can send it back. Okay, which should be fine. It's always been good going downhill. It's like me, I've been going downhill for years. Here we go. Okay, it's making its way down the slope, so we'll go and wait for it at Little Bardfield. It's just going through Whittington at the moment, which is the back wall, the western wall, and now it's onto the bridge over the last sensor. It'll be coming into the room now, you'll probably hear it. And it's approaching Little Bardfield. And going around out in the workshop. And we expect it to arrive back in the room. Right now. So there we are. I would call that a success. Thank you, Chris. Cheers. Gourmet.